Hello, this is a short presentation on tenses, particularly simple and progressive tenses in English. So the first thing we have to do with tenses is look at how they are made. Most of you probably know this already. We have three times. We have present, past and future, and we have four aspects: simple, progressive, perfect and perfect progressive. The way we identify simple tenses is very often they are only one word, although future tenses often have will or be going to before them. If they're negative, they will also have do before them as well, but very often they are just one single word. Progressives are a verb chain and they have be and the ing afterwards. Perfects have or has or had, and followed by the past participle, usually ending in ed or en, but not always. The perfect progressive are a mix of these two. They combine the perfect tense with have or has, and then progressives with be and the ing. So these are the 12 tenses that there are in English. The ones in green are the most common, so they're the ones that we're going to be focusing on the most. So let's start with simple tenses, the present simple and the past simple. The present simple is used for general truths, okay, something that we know or believe to be true. The sun rises from the east, and habitual actions, I play soccer on Wednesdays. These are not going to change anytime soon. They're seen as permanent or fixed, and because of this we use the present simple. Another time that we use it is when we're talking about stories. We can use the literary present when we're describing what happens in a movie or a play or a book. For example, Romeo kisses Juliet. It may have been written over 400 years ago, but we still use the present tense because it's a story. We use the past simple for completed actions in the past, very often with a specific time. So for example, I wrote my essay last night. Last night is going to indicate that it is the past simple. In the same way that I visited China in 2007, if a date is given, the past simple will be used. We can use it for a continuous action as well if that action is finished. I lived in Los Angeles for 15 years is possible. There's an understanding that we don't live there anymore. Now, when choosing between these two, the easiest way to identify which one to use is to look for keywords. Time markers such as every, usually, often, or sometimes are associated with the present simple, although they can be used with the past simple. For the past simple, look out for last year, yesterday, in 2005, when I was a child, things like that. These will indicate that a past simple is used. So look around the sentence to see these markers and the time that they indicate. Okay, let's very briefly deal with future tenses. Now, there are many ways to express a future tense in English, and we use future tenses for predictions, intentions mainly. Our options are will and be going to, and then the base form of the verb follows these two. So just making predictions about something that will happen in the future: Brazil are going to win the World Cup, or intentions: I'm going to write my essay on Sunday. We have a choice between will or going to. It doesn't really matter which one that we use. But for something that we make an instant decision about, we can only use will. If you hear a phone ring, you don't say I'm going to get it, you say I'll get it. Now, future tenses, the key words that we're looking out for: in 2 years, tomorrow, in the coming years, in future or later. We should be sensitive to these when we're dealing with tense at all times. The present simple and progressive forms can be used to express a future event if it's fixed or scheduled. I'm leaving on the 8th of March, or my class starts at 9 AM next Monday. These are set, so it's possible to use them again. They're not going to change anytime soon. But in general, future tenses are flexible and interchangeable. We never know the future, so we're kind of guessing, and depending how sure we are or how likely an event is, we change which form we use. Examples would be, I'll probably drive there later is quite soft. I'm going to drive there later, or I'm driving there later. There's various degrees of certainty associated with them. For progressive tenses, we can see the be verb plus the ing, whereas simple tenses are used for permanent things that are fixed. Progressive tenses are used for more temporary arrangements. For example, I am living with my parents. This person probably is not going or doesn't foresee this lasting very long. It's only a temporary arrangement. And also things happening right now at this moment, such as he's studying in his room. And remember that the progressive tenses are not used with stative verbs. Asking what a stative verb is, believe, like, love, understand, or be. These are very rarely found in progressive tenses. Okay, so just be careful of them. Key time markers now at the moment, while or as. And these are for the present progressives, and some of them are for the past progressive as well. Well, when do we use the past progressive? It's going to be ongoing at a specific time in the past. So while I was walking to class, my phone rang. The specific time in the past is my phone rang. And then while I was walking gives kind of background information to that. Okay, and this action is often incomplete. It's not whole. So when we were playing basketball, the fire alarm went off. Something interrupted your playing basketball. Lastly, the future progressive, very rarely used. It's not very common. But if we have a specific time in the future, we can predict what we're going to be doing. Then at 9 p.m. on Sunday, I will be watching Game of Thrones. Okay. Let's just have some quick questions on these. There are 4 questions here, and I'd like you to try to put the verbs in parentheses into the correct form. Okay, so have a think about that and choose the correct form for each one. Okay, welcome back. So for the first one, we have a key time marker of earlier today. And although it's today, which might indicate the present, it's earlier today, which tells us it's the past. Past tense of take is took. The next one, at the moment, the key time marker tells us that it's right now, and we should be using a progressive tense for that. So that's be plus the ing, John is thinking. The next one, key time marker in the coming decade, indicates a future tense. It's a prediction, so will feel is appropriate. And for the last one, as indicates a progressive, and in this case it's going to be a past progressive, which gives background information to what was happening when a specific event happened in the past, which we will use the past tense for. Okay, so just a quick recap. We have simple tenses and progressive tenses, and we use simple tenses for complete actions. These are usually seen as permanent or whole. Very often it's the main event in a story, and of course state verbs or stative verbs have to take the simple tenses. Progressive tenses are incomplete, very often interrupted. They're temporary, they're not going to last forever. Very often they are background events. When you're telling the listener or the reader what was happening at a certain time, and of course no state verbs in progressive tenses. Okay, so that's just a quick recap of when to choose and how to choose between simple and progressive.